Shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome. We'll check and see if this is correct. But welcome to the next book on the list. Welcome back to Reading with SHILO. I'm SHILO. What's up? I'm out here, man. I'm up. And since I'm up, man, we might as well go ahead and get started reading, man. So we're going to pick up Who Blessed You? Who Blessed You? Speak unto the Children of Israel, curated by George Fraser and Stan Matthews and Azaniah Israel. Who blessed you? 3 relationships that transformed my life. 20 empowering stories of wisdom, love, and salvation. Who blessed you? We're going to see if there's anything that we can learn and grow from in Who Blessed You. Hey. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Said 20, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. All right, let's get started. If you come in, leave a comment so I know the chat is working. We can keep going. And let's see what Azaniah is talking about. Forward. The forward. Dr. George C. Fraser. The world's most influential leaders, business people, and innovators know the one key characteristic to help them reach their goals and affect change. They possess not only the ability to wield influence, but they were influential. A few of the last 20 years studying the great Black influences in our world: Christ, Martin Luther King, Bishop Desmond Tutu, Harriet Tubman, Maya Angelou, Malcolm X, Frederick Douglass, Rosa Parks, Marcus Garvey, Earl Graves, and many others, show it wasn't just what these people did that made them influential. It wasn't because they had money, position, or authority. They were influential because of who they were or are, and the traits they possess. Webster defines influence as the act or power of producing an effect without apparent exertion of force or direct exercise of command. Through this definition, the difference between influence and dictatorial command are delineated. Command says, "Do this because I said so, and there are vile consequences if you do not." Influence says, "I'll help you to see that this is the best course of action in terms of long-term benefits for the both of us." Command can initiate change of mind, but is externally motivated. As soon as the external consequence is lifted, the status quo is quickly resumed. Influence creates an internal shift in a person's mindset. Internal commitment is gained independence of external consequences. The world's most influential people don't merely change others' behaviors, they shift their mindsets. Suppose you own a retail store, and an employee comes to not greet customers in line with your culture. Command says, "Do this, or you'll get fired or written up." Influence says, "Let me show you how or why this is important to your success and mine." The employee who is commanded to greet customers will do so while he or she thinks you are watching. Your customers will see through the veneer as well. The employee who is influenced and will begin to sincerely greet customers regardless of your presence because an internal shift has occurred. What the world needs is fewer commanders and more influencers. Fewer commanders and more influencers. You can be an influencer. In fact, you already are. And you can grow your ability to become even more influential once you identify and understand your potential to be influential in the relation to achieving business success, expanding your leadership impact, realizing a needed outcome for a worthy cause, building others as you help them make a significant mark on the world, and gaining admission unto a prestigious MBA or graduate program, attaining your dream in your professional life. Change is temporary, shift is permanent. Grow your influence, expand your influence. True influence is based in an emotional connection. A crucial aspect of influence is the emotional connection you make with people. True influence involves building trust and a relationship, getting those people to align their views and values with your own for long-term gain. Short-term change doesn't rely as much upon emotional connection. Instead, it uses other tactics like reasoning, manipulation, coercion. You only have to look at your own experiences to see the difference. If someone threatens or coerces you to get you to do something, you might do it at the moment, but long-term resentment means you'll revert to the previous behavior as soon as you can. Now, on the other hand, if a friend asks you to change your behavior in some way, you're much more likely to do so. More importantly, you're much more likely to want to do so. You're emotionally invested in that person and want to see him or her succeed to the point that you'll help them however and wherever you can. With a rich background in psychology and human behavior, researcher Dr. Karen Keller states that true influence happens at a deeper internal level. This sets you apart. She goes on to say, unless an internal shift occurs, change will not last. Shalom, everybody. Harriet Tubman shifted our mindset about Black courage and commitment. Marcus Garvey shifted the Black world's mindset about Black self-help. Martin Luther King shifted the world's mindset about leadership. Archbishop Desmond Tutu, he shifted the world's mindset about what it means to truly forgive. Earl Graves shifted our mindset about Black businesses. Your mom and dad, hopefully, shifted your mindset on how to treat others with love and kindness. Whether you are called to shift the world's mindset on the global stage or through leading your small business, mentoring, or parenting your children, your legacy will be seen in those you influence deeply. Growing your influence isn't just important for personal success. Your future depends on it. So who influenced you? It's 20 exciting and informative stories of everyday people just like you, whose lives were impacted by influencers. Why? Because they were open and listened. Dr. George C. Fraser. Dr. George C. Fraser. A slice of my life and the 4 influencers that changed it. It is not who you know, but who knows you and what it is they know about you. If you want to meet influential people, my bad. I'm me, baby. If you want to meet influential people, you must be where influential people are. They then find a way to serve and add value to their life first. I've always had a dream list of influential people I wanted to meet. One of them was Earl G. Graves, the iconic founder of Black Enterprise Magazine, or BE. He was an early role model of mine, having been born and raised in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, a decade before me. I let my dream be known to a few of my well-connected and influential Cleveland friends. And in 1985, my influential friend, Carol Hoover, president of the Cleveland Growth Association, recommended me to become the volunteer Cleveland co-chairman of a 7-city networking tour Earl G. Graves was planning. It was a year away, a lot of hard work, but I eagerly took the assignment unconditionally. What I didn't know at the time, the seeds for a new dream were planted. In September of 1986, the BE Networking Forum in Cleveland launched with great success, and nearly 500 Black professionals attended this corporate-sponsored paid event to hear Mr. Graves speak on the state of Blacks in the business world and why building networking skills was critically important. Business cards flew across the room in a networking frenzy. It was the first event of its kind in Cleveland, and it sparked something in me and changed my life. I was proud of the event. Mr. Graves was ecstatic. What was to come 8 years later was a complete surprise. More on that later. The BE Networking Forum reminded me of an exciting time in my life, like my famous New Year's Eve parties and my days as an entrepreneur selling Black encyclopedias, doing well while doing good. Earl Graves had always been a visionary and a leader in bringing Black professionals together to network, do business, and empower one another economically. On reflection, I found that I had long shared his sense of wanting to strengthen our community. And ever since my days as the founder of a neighborhood male babysitting, house cleaning, and lawn care service, I had instinctively grasped the power of networking. The success of the BE Networking Forum brought many desperate and dormant thoughts to the forefront of my consciousness. I sensed that there must be millions of Black professionals in search of entrepreneurial and networking skills. The paper cuts on my hand from flying business cards were also graphic, evidence of the enthusiasm. And so in the months and years that followed, I began designing my own plan. Get it together, Mr. Frazier. At first, it was a subconscious process, fleeting thoughts finding one another and clumping together. But when it became more and more apparent that my future as a Ford Motor automobile dealer was not a promising one because of the depressed auto market, I consciously began developing the concept that would be both my greater career gamble and my most exhilarating challenge. In mid-1998, I graduated from the Ford Dealership Development Program, one of 12 African-American nationwide selected in mid-1986, of which I thought another inside connection at Ford and which I got through another inside connection at Ford headquarters. Excuse me. I made a lot of new friends, but this influential corporate titan had a profound impact on my life. Don Peterson, president of Ford Motor Company. More about him later. I declined to pursue a dealership of my own, and Ford was not happy. For the first time in 20 years, I had no corporate job, no income, no company car, and no benefits. I did have a large mortgage, a very puzzled wife, 2 growing sons, ideas, dreams, and visions, but nonetheless, I had a great start. Earlier, I had begun testing my plan by staging the first of a series of monthly networking forums for Black professionals in Cleveland with my new business partner, Greg Williams, an influential Cleveland nightclub owner and promoter. The Black Enterprise Network Forum had been primarily a social affair. Mine was strictly business, a party with a purpose, at least in theory. My idea was to bring in top Black speakers of national stature to address a wide variety of topics that would champion personal and professional development to include building wealth, business, and networking skills throughout the Black community. I felt there was a need to encourage interdependence and a greater sense of trust and shared goals among Black professionals. I wanted to bring them together on a regular basis to discuss these common themes and to develop a unified agenda for the success of all Black people, but I needed a corporate sponsor. I staged my first Success Net, Success Through Networking, forum on January 18th of 1988. My close friend, Les Brown, was just starting his speaking career, so he was the first featured speaker, and the Ford Motor Company, with which I had maintained a good relationship with President Don Peterson, signed on for a 2-year sponsorship with an investment of $100,000. The first forum was profitable. It had a turnout of more than 500 people and convinced me that I was onto something. Even as I completed my final year of training with Ford, I staged monthly Success Net forums in Cleveland. They became a networking paradise, not to mention a pretty good place to learn and meet influencers. Celebrity speakers included Danny Glover, Godfrey Holder, Susan Taylor, Earl Graves, Louis Ruckusser, Carol Simpson, Ron Brown, Tony Brown, John H. Johnson, Earl Jones, Stedman Graham, and of course, Don Peterson, president of Ford, just to name a few. The forums attracted a wide array of corporate sponsors eager to be the official radio station, airline, newspaper, or hotel for all the events, which drew up to 1,500 professionals for cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, networking, inspiration, training, and enlightenment. Each meeting began with the recitation of a group mantra that went, "Success lives in Cleveland because success lives where I live." We must be willing to share our success and to help others succeed. Each one must reach one and teach one. I still use this mantra to this day when I close many of speeches. Success Net began as a sideline while I was still in the Ford training program. And when I graduated from the program, I left Ford's corporate fold. I immediately launched my own full-time business from the extra bedroom in our house. The assets of Success Source were not ones that most bankers would embrace as strong collateral. I had my Rolodex, my close friend Gregory Williams, who left his business to join me in my dream, and a monthly bills to inspire me. In truth, the Rolodex was strong collateral because it contained the names of some very influential people whom I had met over the years and with whom I have developed trusting relationships. To finance my new business, I made a private stock offering, and I made it to key people, many of whom were among the power elite of Cleveland. 18 of them were CEOs of major companies. These same people helped me get advertising for the second product to come out of the Success Source, the coffee table quality, Success Guides, the networking guide to Black resources in Greater Cleveland, which years later expanded to 7 urban centers where I had a network of great friends and contacts. We were well on our way. I don't want to give the impression that this was a cakewalk because it was not. Although I had many wonderful supporters, financial and spiritually, my new business suffered all the travails encountered by most small minority enterprises, principally the inability to get capital for growth. My partner and I worked virtually without salary for several years. More than once, I had to go to friends for either cash or counsel. But that is why networking is so important. It provides a foundation of support. It was during this period that I received some very bad and very good news from back home in Brooklyn. My youngest brother Joseph was killed in a drug deal gone bad, and my sister Emma was completing her coursework for a master's from Harvard. It was both a stunting blow and a joyous victory. We had grown up together in the same orphanages and foster homes. Emma and I had shared values, experiences, and choices, yet Joseph's choices led to a life of crime and drugs. Emma and my choices led to the highest form of educational and business achievement. It was lack of good choices and results in my own family that provided me the determination to continue down my new business path and make Success Source work as I had originally envisioned it. I come from essentially the same background as millions of other blacks of my generation, and I have learned something that I believe is of benefit to all people. I have learned that our choice of the people and relationships in our life will help determine our life. Your network will determine your net worth. I've learned blacks have a 5,000-year legacy of success that runs contrary to the media images of slavery, welfare, crime, and drugs. And we have the potential to much more than sing, dance, play football, baseball, or basketball. In just one moment, one person or interaction can change your life. In retrospect, I view my interaction with Earl James and the BE Networking Forum in 1986 as part one of a turning point in my life. Part two came from in July of 1994, when Earl James enthusiastically endorsed my magnum opus, book Success Runs in Our Race, the complete guide to effective networking in the Black community. He made it B's first book excerpt and put me on the cover. At that point, my business and career took off, and the rest is history. Mr. Graves and I had a very productive long relationship. He died in April of 2020, just as the COVID pandemic started. His son Earl Butch Graves Jr. has done an incredible job at taking BE to the 21st century. What I find striking about that period is the fact that although my family's entire financial future and quality of life was at risk due to my business venture, I was not stressed out about it. All my high paying, high visibility corporate jobs had been high anxiety. Even though I was working with the security of the corporate fold, I had always been stressed about preserving that security. And I was always under pressure to fit into the corporate culture for all of its efforts at diversity and inclusion, it was still struggling to make the mix work. I continue to be a wing walker by comparison, trape swing on the edge of a deadly fall without a parachute. But I have confidence because I know that my strength does not come from a corporation's ample assets, from a big office or comfortable pension. It comes from within and my very ample network of wonderful and protective relationships. And I know the same can be true of you and nearly everyone of any culture, regardless of circumstances. For it is not how you start, it is how you finish. We are a people with passion and creativity in abundance. The challenge is to channel those assets into a form of social entrepreneurialism that can produce goods and services to fulfill the needs of our community. Technology has dramatically improved within the last 2 decades, but the challenges remain the same. Doing what you love with people that you love. That is why my old company, Success Source, has morphed into Success Net, then into Fraser Net, and now a virtual nation named Fraser Nation, a network of 1.3 million people, influencers, friendships, relationships, and allies that include human and intellectual assets around the globe engaged in strategic alliances, joint ventures, and partnerships. We have gathered annually for over 20 years at the Power Networking Conference to renew our friendships. And bottom line, aside from my family, especially my sister, Dr. Emma Fraser Pendleton, my wife, Nora Jean, and children, and a host of great friends, 4 key people influenced my career path, and thus my purpose. Carol Hoover, Earl Graves, Greg Williams, and Don Peterson. Earl and Greg have passed on to take their throne next to our God. Carol and Don, 95 years old, remain good friends. Dr. George C. Fraser is chairman and CEO of Fraser Net Inc., a company he founded 32 years ago to lead a global networking and economic development movement for people of African descent. Born in Brooklyn, New York, he spent 20 years in executive leadership positions with Procter & Gamble, United Way, and Ford Motor Company before starting his own business, Fraser Net Inc., in 1987. He is the author of 6 best-selling books, including Success Runs in Our Own Race, and most recently, Mission Unstoppable, Extraordinary Stories of Failures, Blessings, a book he co-authored with Les Brown. That was Mr. Joe Fraser, Dr. Fraser, Dr. George Fraser, not Joe, my bad, Dr. George Fraser. Let's see, we'll do Stan Matthews. Let's do Stan Matthews as well. We're gonna see. We'll do Stan Matthews though. Yeah, we'll do Stan Matthews as well. If I do 2 a day, of these, 2 people a day, we can finish the book in 10 days. Since it only has, so say 20 people or 20 people, 20 stories. Yeah, two people a day. 2 people a day. Maybe 2 people a day, maybe 4. If I do it twice a day, we can finish it in 5 days. We can finish it in 5, but if I push myself, we can get it. Stan Matthews. The saints who shaped the man. Maylene Andrews gave me life and transformed my life at a very early and important stage. My beloved mother will always be my primary source of inspiration, motivation, and prosperity. Mom prepared my spirit and mind for success with a constant demand of excellence and a cascade of compliments and encouragement. Mom provided the unconditional love and guidance that created an indomitable spirit and unwavering confidence that I could be, do, and have all things in God's name and by his power. Mom was a bundle of energy, joy, and strength. She adored, respected, and feared my family, friends, and colleagues. Her 5 brothers each recounted altercations they were in as children, and seeing their younger sister come flying into the fray to defend her older brothers with fire and fearlessness. Mom was a respected and honored person in their community and in her family. She was the loving mother of my sister Coco the sixth of 8 children. She was both feared and loved for her sharp tongue and quick wit and strong mind. My mom loved, protected, and shaped my mind for excellence and success continuously. Mom's most important gift was to share her unbreakable faith. Mom and I loved to share our favorite scriptures. We would go on for hours speaking about the God's grace and mercy. She taught me never to worry about my goals because she firmly believed that God's will is God's bill. She shared her mom's story that we were stolen from Africa and brought to Guyana, South America, and that we were members of the great Ashanti nation. I can feel the pride and power rising in my mind and spirit even as I share this writing with you now. Mom taught me mental mastery and the determination that still shapes my approach and practice as an entrepreneur. She taught this that excellence was the only standard and that doing well in business was good, but doing well and doing good and doing well was even better. Let me read that part again. She taught that excellence was the only standard and that doing well in business was good, but doing good and doing well was even better. She taught me to always provide greater value than the client and customer paid for with love and good humor. Her baked seafood gumbo was legendary, and I feel myself getting hungry for some right now. Mom and my grandma, Beatrice, taught me that my network was my net worth long before I made that my primary marketing message. She kept a small book with the names and addresses of each of her nursing clients and would send birthday greetings and prosperity prayers to each of them. She reminded me more over and over again that if I got the people problem right, I would never have a money problem in business, and boy, was she right. Maylene Andrews transformed my mind and gave me a confidence that borders on positive arrogance. Mom asked me to memorize Psalms 23 chapter because it stated in plain language that God guides and provides with love. This lesson has reinforced my positive view of who I was and whose I was for the rest of my life. No one could ever again devalue or undervalue my self-love and self-worth. My mom transformed my love for family as a foundation principle in a well-lived life. She would prepare Sunday dinner with the expertise of a chef and a love that created an amazingly great tasting meal. Mom, my sister Carlette, aka Coco, prayed for each other before and after each meal, and Sunday afternoons were a treasure trove of laughter, positive storytelling, and life lessons that my sister and I never forgot. The three of us will have an unbreakable love, and to this day, tears well up when Sadie's "Nothing Can Come Between Us" plays. My mom transformed my life with the example of her love for my grandpa, Benjamin Andrews. My grandfather was a stern and somewhat intimidating figure. He was slow to speak and quick to punish wrongdoing and steadfast in his defense and love for his children and grandchildren. My mother loved her dad dearly and did everything with the singular goal of pleasing her daddy. Mom's most important gift was her love and gratitude. She taught me to love God. She taught me to love like God loves, and to give and forgive like God gives and forgives. Mom taught me to be grateful because I received a thing or experience I was praying for. She said, celebrate the vision long before the reality. She said, God was a loving force that in everything, everyone, and everywhere, He is with you. He is with me. He is with you always. My mom transformed my life for the positive with her example of a life well lived, the steadfast faith that protected and guided her, and a love for God and family that was unbreakable. She accompanies a sacred place in my spirit, heart, and mind. I give her thanks for standing in the gap and providing true north, directions for success in life. All that I am and ever wished to be was co-signed and celebrated and encouraged by my greatest fan, my mom. Thank you, Mommy. Lillian Matthews profoundly transformed my life at a very early and important stage. My beloved paternal grandmother was the personification of love for me from the 3rd birthday to my 7th birthday, when I was ultimately reunited with my beloved mother, Maylene Andrews. Grandma Lillian provided a special unconditional love, and that taught me that love is the greatest force for change and for good in this world. Grandma Lillian was a beloved, respected, and honored person in her community and in her family. She was the mother of 7 children and a wife for more than 50 years. She was loved for her warm, loving spirit and an unlimited kindness that impacted and warmed the hearts of everyone she came in contact with. My grandma Lillian loved, protected me, and shaped my humanity and concern for others in a permanent and awesome way. One of Grandma's first and most important gifts was to share the wisdom of learning to practice self-care and self-love. She also showed me how to enjoy special treats and sacred sciences of me time. Among our me time, special treats was the heavenly nectar of coffee and a slice of lemon meringue pie. I can taste it right now. Not me. Ooh. Ooh. Lemon meringue and coffee. Ooh. Grandma Lillian taught me how to lovingly and respectfully relate with people. Her instructions and example still shape my approach to relationships as an entrepreneur. She told me that doing well in business was good, but doing good and doing well was even better. She taught me to always provide greater value than the client and customer paid for, with love and great humor. My grandma taught me that my network was my net worth long before I had made that my primary marketing message. She kept a small book with her names. Damn, my bad. Hold on. It sounded like I was reading the same thing over again, but it's different. It's different. It's similar, but it's different. My grandma taught me that my network was my net worth long before I made that my primary marketing message. She kept a small book with the names and addresses of each of her relatives and close friends, and would send birthday greetings and prosperity prayers to each of them. She reminded me over and over again that if I got the people problem right, I would never have a money problem in business, and boy, was she right. Lillian Matthews transformed my heart and mind, gave me strength to exercise love and concern for others that guides my conduct to this day. Grandma asked me to memorize Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 28, because it stated in plain language that God created man and woman in his image and likeness and gave them authority to rule. This lesson has reinforced my positive view of who I was and whose I was for the rest of my life. No one can ever again devalue or undervalue my self-love and self-worth. My beloved paternal grandmother transformed my love for family as a foundation principle in the well-loved life. She would prepare Sunday dinner for more than 12 people on a routine basis, and everyone was overfed and happy. We prayed for each other before and after each meal and Sunday afternoons. My bad, excuse me. We prayed for each other before and after each meal, and Sunday afternoons were a treasure trove of laughter, positive storytelling, and life lessons that my aunts, uncles, and cousins prioritized in their weekly calendar and rarely ever missed. My grandma Lillian transformed my life with the example of her love for my grandpa, Cecil Matthews the First. My grandfather was a confident, highly adventurous man. He was always thinking, always exploring, and always ready to share the next idea and great adventure. My grandma Lillian was the only person with enough love for us to take his attention away from his life as a guide in the dangerous rainforests and river valleys of Guyana's interior region. They were inseparable and an amazing team. My grandma Lillian's most important gift was her faith. She taught me to be grateful before I received that thing or experience I was praying for. She said, celebrate the vision long before the reality. She said God was the loving force that resided in everything, everyone, and everywhere. She told me that he was ever present, ever powerful, and that I should fear no one or nothing because God would always be with me. I have never forgotten, and I never will. He is with me and with you always. My grandma transformed my life for the positive with her example of a love well lived and steadfast faith that protected and guided her, and a love for God and family that was unbreakable. She occupies a special and sacred place in my spirit, heart, and mind. I give her thanks for providing a priceless love supreme experience. Thank you, Grandma Lillian. Thank you so much. Beatrice Andrews transformed my life at a very early and important stage. My beloved maternal grandmother prepared my spirit and my mind for success and for my 3rd birthday to 7th birthday, when I was ultimately reunited with my beloved mother, Maylene Andrews. Grandma Beatrice provided the unconditional love and guidance that created the indomitable spirit, unwavering confidence that I could do and have all things in God's name and by his power. Grandma was a respected and honored person in her community and in her family. She was the mother of 7 children and the wife for more than 50 years. She was both feared and loved for her mastery of herbal science, which she had no formal training but exercised absolute mastery. She learned from her mother, who was an even more legendary figure in my community. My grandma loved, protected, and shaped my mind for excellence and success continuously. One of my grandma's first and most important gifts was to share that I was a member of the Ashanti Nation. She said we were stolen from Africa and brought to Guyana, South America. She gave me a gold ring with the initials carved in the template and asked me to promise never to betray the people of gold. The great Ashanti nation, I can feel the pride and power rising in my mind and spirit even as I share this writing with you now. Grandma Beatrice taught me marketplace mastery that still shapes my approach and practice as an entrepreneur. She told me that doing well in business was good, but doing good and doing well was even better. She taught me to always provide greater value than the client and customer paid for with love and great humor. Her baked bread was legendary, and people came from miles around our village on Sunday afternoons to buy her equally legendary fried fish and pine tarts. My grandmother taught me that my network was my net worth, long before I made that my primary marketing message. She kept a small book with the names and addresses of each of her clients and would send birthday greetings and prosperity prayers to each of them. She reminded me over and over again that if I got the people problem right, I would never have a money problem in business, and boy, was she right. Beatrice Andrews transformed my mind and gave me a confidence that borders on positive arrogance. Grandma asked me to memorize Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 and 28, because it stated in plain language that God created man and woman in his image and likeness and gave them authority to rule. This lesson has reinforced my positive view of who I was and whose I was for the rest of my life. And no one could ever again devalue or undervalue my self-love and self-worth. My beloved maternal grandmother transformed my life for family as a foundation principle in a well-lived life. She would prepare Sunday dinner for more than 25 people on a routine basis, and everyone was overfed and happy. We prayed for each other before and after each meal, and Sunday afternoons was a treasure trove of laughter, positive storytelling, and life lessons that my aunts, uncles, and cousins prioritized in their weekly calendar and rarely even missed. My grandma transformed my life with the example of her love. It seems like it's doubled. It seems something off. My grandmother transformed my life with the example of her love for my grandpa, Benjamin Andrews. My grandfather was a stern and somewhat intimidating figure. He was slow to speak and quick to punish wrongdoing, and steadfast in his defense and love for his children and grandchildren. Give me a second. I need to. It's just stuff is repeated. The repeating of stuff kind of had me kind of confused. My grandma transformed my life with the example of her love for my grandpa, Benjamin Andrews. My grandfather was a stern and somewhat intimidating figure. He was slow to speak and quick to punish wrongdoing, and steadfast in his defense and love. My grandma was the only person who could soften everything about my grandfather instantly and almost magically. They were inseparable and an amazing team. My grandma's most important gift was her faith. She taught me to be grateful before I received the thing or experience I was praying for. She said, celebrate the vision long before the reality. She said, God was the loving force that in everything, everyone, and everywhere. She said, rain was God's loving tears that helped to bring harvest and abundance. She told me that he was ever present, ever powerful, and that I should fear no one or nothing because God would always be with me. I have never forgotten and never will. He is with me and with you always. My grandma transformed my life for the positive with her example of a life well lived, a steadfast faith that protected and guided her, and love for God and family that was unbreakable. She accompanies a special and sacred place in my spirit, heart, and mind. I give her thanks for standing in the gap and providing true north, directions for success in life. Thank you, Grandma. This love letter of dedication is a thank you which looks back, which observes the present and honors the future at the same time. My prayer is a prayer of blessing for each of these persons who poured into my life and positively impacted and influenced me to succeed. This is not a comprehensive list, but I am hopeful it is comprehensive enough to recognize the people who shaped my life for the better. Heartfelt thanks to my supermom, Maylene Andrews, Maylene Andrews, and Leon Matthews, my biological dad. Leroy Andrews, my maternal uncle and spiritual dad. Thank you. Heartfelt thanks to my maternal grandmother, Beatrice Andrews, paternal grandmother, Lillian Matthews, to my maternal grandfather, Benjamin Andrews, and my paternal grandfather, Cecil Matthews. Heartfelt thanks to my beloved sister, Colette Coco Matthews, and Mrs. Ingrid Freeman, Daryl Love, Ralph Henderson, Martin Davis, and many others too numerous to mention. True friends are the gifts that keep giving. Thank you for lending an ear, a thoughtful word, a kindness, a laugh, an unbreakable bond, and a covenant. A heartfelt thanks to my many mentors, some of whom I have claimed without asking or meeting, including Dr. John Henrik Clark, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Frederick Douglass, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Frederick Douglass, President Abraham Lincoln, President Nelson Mandela, President Barack Obama, PM Abiy Ahmed, Dr. George C. Fraser, Mr. Jim Ron, Reverend Ike, Mr. Hilton Davis Esquire, and Mr. Cedric Barrow. Heartfelt thanks to my aunts and uncles and to my super cousins, Mr. Dennis Andrews, Michael West, Mr. Weldon West, and Mr. Orrin King. Heartfelt thanks to my circle of friends. My friends are as countless as the sands on the vast beach and as significant to me as my very heartbeat. My heartfelt thanks to Michelle and Jenna, the amazing women who provided love and companionship and 4 children who are the treasure of my life. Heartfelt thanks to Candace, Andre, Zari, and Elijah. My children, you are my treasure and my greatest joy. I leave you a prayer of prosperity and legacy of success and hope. I celebrate my grandchildren and their grandchildren though unborn. But if you in an everlasting unconditional way, I celebrate my grandchildren and their grandchildren though unborn, but shaped by praying, my speaking and my loving each of the 4 of you in an everlasting unconditional way. Infinite blessings of prosperity. Love, Dad. Stan Matthews. Stan Matthews is a proud dad of 4 wonderful children, 3 of whom are college grads and professionals. Family is everything to me. Nothing is more important. I am the founder and CEO of Matthews Business Network, MBN. Matthews Business Network. MBN is a national platform with global reach. MBN has 2,216 Black and brown CEOs committed to taking advantage of the 1.6 trillion in Black purchasing power in our community. Purchasing power our community has as its disposal annually. MBN also provides Black and brown entrepreneurs, professionals, creative artists, and authors the opportunity to share the unique value of their products and services in our national professional network and in our CNN, MSNBC, ESPN, and MTV, and the other premier networks on our Comcast platform. And that was Mr. Stan Matthews. So we have read, I'm going to stop there. We have read Dr. George C. Frazier and Stan Matthews of Who Blessed You? And we'll come back next time and read my brother Azaniah. I guess that's George Frazier, and that might be Stan Matthews right there. But that's Azaniah. And so far, so good. So far, so good. You know, I see that they're just being grateful for those who helped mold them on the journeys of their life. Oh, Lord. Good googly moogly. Jumping Jehoshaphat. Yeah, now I'm tired. No. But, hey, the reading was good, you know. Glad to get a start on my brother book for him. So far, so good. Hey, when I get up tomorrow, when I wake up tomorrow, we'll come back with the next 2. We'll come back with Lord willing. Lord willing. Most High grant me life to open my eyes. We'll come back tomorrow and check out Azaniah Israel and Arleta Allen. Azaniah Israel and Arleta Allen tomorrow at the next session. The next session of reading with SHILO, baby. I'm SHILO, and I'm out here. Hey, I'm out here reading. Destroyer of worlds, SHILO. I am he, and I will bring the world down to cinders and ash by reading. One book at a time, man. One book at a time. One book at a time. We are 22 books down. We are, man, I stepped on 22 books. Book stepper. Big book stepper. You don't step on books like me. Serial stepper. Oh man. Yeah, I'm assassinating books right now. I'm out here. Literary ninjutsu. I'm getting my literary ninjutsu on. But I'm very proud of myself for doing so. You know, very proud of myself for doing so. You know, I've been being consistent lately, and I'm happy about the consistency. I feel much better. I feel much better when it comes to the reading when I have consistency. Even if I feel like I'm not reading good, you know, one night or something like that, the consistency in the reading to me helps, or it just makes me feel better. I feel more energized, I guess you could call it, about reading. Because I've never been one who really liked to read like that. I like to know shit, but I ain't like to read. And reading is fundamental. Reading is necessary because people can tell you anything. The message can get lost from mouth to mouth, but when you pick up the book yourself and read it yourself, it's a message that can be grasped, gotten, found like a buried treasure that the other person couldn't find because they don't have the mind that you have, or they might not be where you are in your life to have the mind that you have, the experiences that you have had, to have the mindset that you have, the viewpoint, the vantage point, the angle that you're looking at things at, so it's different. But one book at a time. One book at a time. I never thought I'd be on this shit reading, man, like for real. I never thought I'd be reading. And I hope that people who have stick-ups, like someone like my daughter, one of my daughters, who have hiccups and stumbling blocks because they can't pronounce words correctly, or it's something about the reading that causes them to, man, I don't want to read, causes them to put the book down. Hopefully my perseverance through the many words and grammar and literary work that I might do can help them, and maybe can help them to persevere themselves through reading. Maybe it's something they want to read that can help them grow and gain a more valuable insight to help uplift their lives. Further their lives. Shit, one step, two steps is better than no steps. Motion is some motion. And I'd rather have some motion than no motion. Stagnant is a killer. Being stagnant is a killer. And sometimes the motion ain't what you want. It's not going to be what you want. But motion is motion. Just reading that I'm doing, that's motion. It might not be motion to you or motion where you may want it to be, but it's motion to me. I need to get this moving. This has to stay in motion. If it's not, you're dead. I need to be finding new ways and new things. I need to learn and grow. Even if I stay steadfast with the things that I have at hand, which is nothing wrong with what I have. The law, statute, and commandments of the Most High. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's some other things that can be gained. Communication skills definitely can be gained. Like I said, a definite better viewpoint, a vantage point of outlook of certain things might be able to help me gain a better success. More success in different areas. And the success in other areas may help with the success in the areas that I really want. But in due time, time will tell. Time will tell it all. Who will stand and who will fall, and who will have your back when your back's against the wall. Time will tell it all. But yeah, man, hey, I appreciate everybody who may have stopped by tonight. If you like what you heard, or if it's something that stuck out to you, man, leave a comment about it in the comments. Tell your people about it. Let them know that boy SHILO out here reading. That boy reading the folks, trying to grow. Yeah. But till next time, man, till the next reading with SHILO, man, we're going to keep pushing. one book at a time, one session at a time, one section at a time, one chapter at a time, one page at a time, one paragraph at a time, one line at a time, until we find some stuff to learn and grow from, and we can download into our minds to help us mature, grow, move forward, overcome, and be better people. A better you, a better me. Yeah. Until next time, shalom, everybody. SHILO out. I'm out, chill.